Hello, this is Sirrano Keith Baldeo with the Dallas Pulse News. So I came out of here. This is the corner of in Dallas, District 10. This is the corner of Forest Lane and Adelia, and there's a very big problem with the property behind you, behind me, and I'm going to tell you what it is. So the councilman of District 10, Adam Magoo, he's in charge of this district. He's an outgoing councilman, and if you read a story in the Dallas Morning News, he made a deal with another property on Greenville. I think it's 12,000 Greenville, where he was trying to benefit from that property, the sale of that property, whatever scheme they were doing in that property. He was trying to benefit from it, and I have been trying to tell the Dallas Morning News this is what he's doing and every other news media, and they ignored me until the point where they finally caught him, and they said this councilman has got a rotten is a rotten deal for District 10. It took them 8 years or 7 years to figure that out by the time they told the story. So here's what happening. This building here is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 8 businesses here. It's owned by a guy from New York City. When they build these businesses, they didn't think. When you build a business, you have to build it where everything speaks to one another. So they've got a cashew place, an egg roll place, fried chicken place, another place, another eating place, another eating place. This is not how you construct a mind. This is a minority community. This is the dead heart of the minority community. This is where a lot of shooting takes place, and all they've got is food stores here. That's not how you build an urban city where mostly blacks, Latinos, and others dwell. But when you have white folks, which is what they do, because he is the one that defended the Confederate monument way back to 1863. He's still defending that black folks should be enslaved, white supremacy should rule, blacks and minorities and people like me should work hard for the betterment of white people. This is what he voted for. Now he's endorsed a woman, Kathy Stewart, and another guy, Brian Hassan Bauer, also helped him when he voted for the Confederate monument. They took money, they gave it to him, both of them. They used their government positions to help him get reelected. And then another guy, Chris Carter, sued the city to keep the Confederate monuments. This is what we're dealing with in the minority community. We are the minority majority, okay? And they have a colony over there in Lake Highlands. If you look at the woman he wants to be the predecessor, she's got a sign that says Lake Highlands, basically Lake Highlands only. Why? Because 5,000 people in Lake Highlands vote to run this entire minority community, and 500 people from the minority community vote. So why am I telling you that? Because they control this. They control the minority community. And here's what happened. So there's a company called Adelia LLC from New York, based in Houston. This property is, I want to show you this property. This property is not worth, get that out of here. This is what this property is, a long strip mall. They sold this property. They sold this property for $5 million in a minority community that can't even produce a lawsuit to collect on the rent that was due here. $5 million the councilman, Adam Magoo, took from taxpayers and gave it to this New York company in a sweetheart deal. Now we know he has a history of benefiting from things that he does. What, asking the question, did he get out of this deal for $5 million for a property that looks like it's valued at $250,000? So this is the kind of stuff that happens during the election, and you have to expose it. To be careful who you vote for. Be careful, because Brian Hassan Howard, a Democrat, and Kathy Stewart, a right-wing Republican, but not really a Republican. She's basically has Democratic views. She's basically on the racist team of people who says we do not want a minority or a person of color running this district. But they had a minority. Who votes. So this property is going to be. Another thing is he went back and he went to. So he didn't know what to do with the property. Sold it off to the guy, got what he got. I don't know if he got, I'm just saying, $5 million. This is not worth $1 million, right? So then he goes back and he gives it to Park and he said, hey, do something with this for me. Turns out Kathy Stewart's husband, is part of the deal with this thing. Her husband is part of the deal. Now let me tell you about something about Kathy. I found out she's got $1 million properties. She's got $1 million properties. The home she's living is over $1 million. But yet she wants to run for this office that is only valued at $60,000. Why? Because stuff like this happens. You can do stuff like this. That's why she wants the job. That's why they want the job. It's because of all the properties Dallas has, and they can go ahead and just manipulate it, take it, sell it out. And what they want to do is they want to put a flat park right here. You see, this is what upsets me. Anytime the white ruling class, and my wife is white, so this is not an indictment of white people. It's just a special interest. Anytime the white ruling special interest class gets a hold of the majority Black and Latino and minority community, this is what they do to it. They level it down. They will never build anything to advance that community. You can put a 2-story building here, job training, entertainment, clothing, food, hair. You can just design it where it becomes like a mall. That's why it's called a strip mall. But they're not thinking about doing that for us, the minority community. So racism here is huge. It's big. This is what they do when a small group of people, a very small group of white folks, decides that they're going to control the election process. 5,000 white people vote in this community district in Dallas, and 500 out of the 220,000 minorities vote. And this is why this happens. And that's why she's looking for a job that's only valued at $60,000 a year when she's got millions of dollars in properties and stocks and bonds like that. This is how they take over, because we get lazy. We get complacent. We throw our hands up in the air and we say we don't care anymore, because every time we vote, somebody is going to screw us. And it happens. It happens. President of a newspaper I was for a decade, and I saw it happen. And in Patterson, New Jersey, some guy was going to take over the city and gentrify it. And they said, Sirrano, who do we vote for to get rid of this guy? I gave them 2 people that was weak. And they didn't vote for him. But they said, no, Sirrano, if you run, we'll vote for you. But we can't vote for them because they're just as bad. And that's what happens in a community like this. And that's why I offered up myself as a candidate. Because if you're saying you can't find anybody that I'm going to give you, then I give you myself. It's kind of like biblical. God sent everybody, and everybody that got there, the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sanhedrins, the chief priests, all took it for selfish greed, power. And that's why Jesus had to come. Itself, to see what they would do if they would say no. Now all my opponents in the District 10 is bought up. They're paid for by all these other different organizations who they sell their soul to. I am not bought. I take nothing from nobody. And I tell them, do not try to buy me. Do not tell me if you endorse me, I got to give you something back. Well, we're going to do to our opponents. Well, go do that. Because if I win, this office is protected and it's transparent. So, properties are sold out in the minority community. And if this wasn't a rich community, like Lake Highlands, where 3 of my opponents live, they would never flatten it for a park. They would build something great. They would build something nice. But because we are minorities, because we won't speak up, because we won't get into their faces and say, we are not going to tolerate this, they do it to us. This is Sirrano Keith Baldeo, Dallas Pulse News. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.